You think a speech about kindness feeds hungry children. Those were the words a billionaire CEO threw at a shy teacher in front of 300 people. But what she said next would crack open his frozen heart and change thousands of lives forever. This is the story of how the wrong woman ended up in exactly the right place. The grand ballroom of the Manhattan Plaza Hotel glittered that October night. Women in silk and diamonds moved through the crowd, their laughter tinkling above the string quartet. Trinity Clarke stood near the service entrance, clutching a canvas bag, her brown hair in a simple knot. The navy dress she wore was borrowed 3 years out of style, hemmed twice, but clean. She wasn't supposed to be here. The invitation came through Sarah Johnson, who worked catering when her cancer treatments allowed. "Just come," Sarah had whispered from her hospital bed. "They're honoring teachers tonight. You deserve to be seen." But standing here now, Trinity felt invisible in the worst way. Visible enough to be judged, invisible enough to be dismissed. A security guard blocked her path. "Staff entrance is around back, miss." Trinity's cheeks flushed. "I'm actually a guest." But her voice was too soft, swallowed by the music. Before Trinity could find her crumpled invitation, a woman in diamonds breezed past. "Oh, for heaven's sake, let the girl through. We need more servers anyway." Trinity slipped into the ballroom and found a quiet corner. Around her, conversations hummed about stock portfolios, vacation homes, boarding schools. Trinity thought of her own students, Mia drawing pictures of her sick mother with secondhand crayons. James, who came to school hungry but always shared his snack. Little Sophia, whose shoes had cardboard tucked inside. These were the children nobody here would ever see. Then the microphone squealed. The MC smiled at the crowd. "And now we'd like to invite our special guest to the stage, Ms. Clarke, whose generous donation will fund our new literacy initiative." Trinity froze. Before she could process it, a spotlight swung across the room and landed directly on her. The crowd turned. Hundreds of eyes. A staff member gestured urgently. "Ms. Clarke, they're waiting." In the front row, a man in a charcoal suit looked up from his phone. His face was striking sharp jawline eyes like winter steel. Camden Reed, the tech billionaire. The man who'd lost his fiancée 2 years ago and hadn't smiled since. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second, and Trinity, terrified and confused, did the only thing she could think of. She walked toward the stage. What happened next would expose a cruel deception, ignite a firestorm on social media, and force both of them to choose between safety and truth. Trinity's hands trembled as she climbed the stage steps. The spotlight was hot against her face, turning the audience into shadows. The MC handed her a microphone with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Clearly, she'd noticed the wrong woman had arrived. "Ms. Clarke, just say a few words about why education matters to you." Trinity's throat closed. She wasn't a donor. She was a teacher who bought supplies with her own money, who stayed late to tutor for free, who'd never seen a check with more than 3 digits. But backing down now would cause a scene. So she did what she always did when scared she thought of her students. "I don't have a prepared speech." Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. In her bag, she still carried the note little Mia had written. "You make me feel smart even when I'm not." She pulled it out. "But I have this. This is from one of my students. She comes to school every day even though her mother is fighting cancer, even though they don't always have food for breakfast, even though her shoes are too small and her coat has a broken zipper." Trinity looked up. Camden Reed had lowered his phone. "She still comes. She still learns. She still smiles." Trinity's voice grew stronger. "Some people think kindness is about big gestures, big donations. big buildings with your name on them. But kindness is also showing up, seeing a child who feels invisible and making her feel seen, teaching math with recycled bottles because you don't have money for blocks, staying late on a Friday because you're the only person who remembered it was that child's birthday. Silence. Then Camden Reed stood. That's very touching. He walked toward the stage. But this isn't a classroom. This is a fundraiser. We're here to solve problems with strategy, not sentiment. Trinity felt every muscle tense. You think a speech about kindness feeds hungry children. It doesn't. Money does. Infrastructure does. Systems do. Trinity should have backed down. Every instinct screamed at her to apologize and run. But she thought of Mia waiting for her mother. She thought of James, whose mother worked 3 jobs. She thought of every child who'd been told they didn't matter. You're right. Money feeds children. But do you know what money can't buy? Camden's eyebrow lifted. Enlighten me. A child's belief that they're worth showing up for. Her hands were shaking, but her voice held steady. You can build the most beautiful school in the world, Mr. Reed. Fill it with computers and books and healthy lunches. But if a child walks in and feels like nobody cares whether they're there, all that money is just an empty building. Something flickered across Camden's face. Pain recognition. Then it was gone. Idealistic and impractical. He turned to the MC. Let's move on. As Trinity stumbled off stage, she heard a small voice from the crowd. That's my teacher. Mia Johnson stood on her chair, her face bright with pride. The MC returned to the microphone. Before we continue, tonight's fund was established in memory of Camden Reed's late fiancée, Emily Hart. She was an elementary school teacher in Brooklyn. Trinity's heart stopped. Camden had already returned to his seat, his face a mask. But Trinity saw his jaw tighten, his hand clench around his glass. She'd just lectured a grieving man about teachers when he'd loved one enough to build a foundation in her name. After the program ended, Trinity tried to slip out. She'd made it halfway across the lobby when a hand caught her elbow. Ms. Clarke. A woman in a sleek black suit, red hair and a severe bun. Vivian Stone, VP of Public Relations for Reed Enterprises. Mr. Reed would like a word. Trinity's stomach dropped. I should really go. It wasn't a request. 5 minutes later, Trinity sat in a conference room. Camden Reed stood by the window, his back to her. You embarrassed me tonight, in front of 300 donors, investors, and journalists. I didn't mean to. What did you mean to do? You gave them a lecture about feelings. Trinity's fear was burning away, replaced by something fiercer. Those feelings are what make children want to learn. And when feelings don't pay the electric bill, when your recycled bottles don't fix a broken furnace or buy new textbooks, what then? Then we do it anyway. Trinity stood. Because waiting for perfect solutions means children go hungry now, tonight, while we're standing here arguing. That's not how change works. Maybe that's the problem. Trinity grabbed her bag. You want to fix everything from a distance. Big plans, big systems. But you've forgotten what it's like to actually see the people you're trying to help. Camden's face went very still. You have no idea what I've seen. You're right. I don't. Trinity's voice softened. But I know what my students see. They see teachers who believe in them, or they see empty desks and broken promises. She walked to the door, then paused. Your fiancée was a teacher. Do you think she would have agreed with you tonight that truth is just a performance? That kindness doesn't matter as much as a budget line? When Camden finally spoke, his voice was hoarse. "Don't talk about her. You didn't know her." "No. But I teach the same children she did, and every day I try to be the person they need, even when people like you tell me it's not enough." She left before he could respond. Outside, rain had started. Trinity stood under the awning and let herself cry. She'd been so foolish to come, so foolish to speak. But across the city, Camden Reed stood at his window and couldn't stop thinking about a shy teacher who'd looked him in the eye and told him the truth. 3 days later, Trinity stood outside the school at 5:30 holding an umbrella over Mia Johnson. The rain was relentless. Mia's mother was late, stuck at the hospital for another chemo round. "My mom's gonna be okay, right?" Trinity crouched down, ignoring the rain soaking her jacket. "Your mom is the strongest person I know. While we wait, tell me about that drawing you did in art class." They talked about crayon flowers and purple elephants. Trinity didn't notice the black car across the street. Didn't notice Camden Reed watching through rain-streaked windows. He'd been heading to a board meeting when he spotted her standing in the downpour with a child, as if it was the most natural thing. He watched Trinity shiver, watched her keep smiling, watched her pull a granola bar from her bag and split it with the girl. And something in his chest, something he'd thought permanently frozen, cracked. "Pull over," he said. His driver looked uncertain. "On, sir, the meeting." "Pull over." Camden grabbed an umbrella and wool blanket from the trunk. He crossed the street. Trinity looked up, startled. Water dripped from her hair. "Mr. Reed, you really don't pick your weather to play hero." He held out the blanket. "I'm not a hero. I'm just making sure she's not alone. In a thunderstorm, while you freeze. If I weren't here, maybe no one would be." Something in the way she said it, simple, factual, heartbreaking, made Camden's expression slip. He draped the blanket over her shoulders. His hand brushed hers, and for a second neither of them moved. Camden Reed was not a man who changed his mind easily. But he couldn't forget the image of a teacher standing in the rain because a child needed her. 2 weeks later, he announced a breakfast program for Trinity's school and 5 others in Brooklyn. Hot meals, fresh fruit, milk, and juice, enough to feed 200 children every morning. But Camden put Vivian Stone in charge, and that's where everything went wrong. Vivian had been in love with Camden for 3 years. She'd watched him shut down after Emily died, had hoped quietly, desperately, that eventually he'd see her as more than his VP of PR. Then a mousy teacher in a cheap dress walked into his life. And Camden looked at Trinity the way he used to look at Emily. Vivian couldn't allow that. When the film crew came to document the breakfast launch, Vivian captured specific moments. Trinity kneeling to help a child tie shoes. Trinity laughing when a kindergartner spilled juice. Trinity wiping away tears at seeing so much food. Then Vivian edited it, cut it, reshaped it, added captions, changed the context, and released a video titled, "The Teacher Who Asked a CEO for Help and Got It." The video went viral. But not in the way Camden intended. Social media erupted. Another poverty display PR stunt. Did she beg him for this? Why is she crying on camera? This feels exploitative. Trinity woke to hundreds of messages. Strangers calling her a professional beggar. Colleagues asking if she'd manipulated Camden Reed. Parents questioning her integrity. The video description written by Vivian. "When teachers don't have resources, sometimes they have to ask." Trinity Clarke asked. Camden Reed answered. It was a lie. Trinity had never asked for anything. The school board called a meeting. "Did you solicit Mr. Reed for a donation?" "No." Did you leverage your position for media attention?